Good morning, and thanks for tuning in to DeProgram with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou. It's Tuesday, December 30th, 2025. Just 2 more days left in this beautiful year before we get to the even more beautiful year of 2026. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Ted. Good to see you.
Likewise, please like, follow, and share the show. Once again, we are doing a special 2 hour broadcast. I don't know how special they are when we keep doing them, but there aren't very many left. We're going to do it today, Wednesday, Friday, and then next week we get back onto a normal schedule. So we are here Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. This week till 11, normally till 10. The way this works, producer Robbie West will explain for anybody who's not familiar, but basically you're going to click on the Discord link at the top of the Rumble and the YouTube feed. No need to do that yet because we're not taking any calls for another 57 minutes. But if you want to get in line, you can certainly do that. Click on the Discord server and you'll be able to, starting at 10 o'clock, the second hour of the show, talk to myself and John Kiriakou. And we will talk about anything you want. Robbie will lay down all the rules, but normal AM talk show call-in rules apply in terms of civility, etc. Thank you so much for your support. You can always support us through the YouTube or through the Rumble feeds. You guys know how to do that. We're fully monetized. Thanks to you guys. We will be resuming, starting on Friday, our Robbie Aid, where we ask you to contribute $1,000 to help us keep Robbie as our producer. We do that every month. If you see someone walking around behind me, that's a workman installing a new thermostat at my house. So, so at least, I'm doing my part to prop up the economy here. Anyway, thanks everyone for tuning in. We have a few questions already coming in. So, John, if you're game, let's start do some questions. Oh, before we do that, I'll tee up what we're talking about today. Saber rattling between Japan, China, the U.S., and et cetera, over Taiwan is at a fever pitch these days. So we'll be talking about China's military exercises, which are basically showing that they know how to go all the way around Taiwan. I can't think that they really needed to show that to anyone. I think the Taiwanese and everyone else are well aware that the Chinese have that capability. But anyway, we'll get into that. Loading docks are going out of style. The one in Yemen just got bombed by the Saudis, right? Because of allegedly the Yemenis are being supplied by the UAE at this loading dock and bombed. And another one got bombed in Venezuela, probably in Venezuela. Trump's not exactly saying, but the implication is there, where they quote unquote load drugs. We'll talk about that because the New York Times had a rather good piece about how one of those quote unquote drug boats washed up, the wreckage of it on a peninsula in Colombia. And basically they found a little bit of pot. That's about it. Yeah. And then Medicaid can share private patient data with ICE, according to a federal judge ruling. I found that pretty chilling. And finally, but not least, there are major protests in Iran over something that people all over the world know all too well: the affordability crisis, high inflation, and the falling value of the currency, the rial. So let's get into some of these questions. Venkatesh, thank you very much. Hi to you too. How do you cope with the fact that there's a possibility that every text call you make are heard by some lowly CIA or FBI agent or NSA? Ted, are you apprehensive that you are subjected to the same? I'm not apprehensive. I know that I am subjected to the same. First of all, everyone watching has all their calls intercepted by the NSA. You don't have to be special like John or I. But if you go to, if you're a subscriber to the New York Times and you do a search on my name in 2004, I don't know if it's in 2004, but it's about 2004, you'll find that the New York Times FOIA request discovered the fact that the NYPD tapped my phone and was following me around in preparation for the RNC 2004 protests by lefties. for the record, I wasn't even an organizer of this. I just was literally just writing a column and drawing cartoons about politics. I didn't even attend the RNC protests. I didn't, even though I lived in New York, I didn't, I certainly wasn't what they called an activist, but they were spying on me. So I know they were. And on another occasion, I was having all sorts of clicking on my phone line in my old house in the Hamptons, and it was incessant. Like basically, I couldn't make a call on my landline over and over. It was like I couldn't hear myself. There was so much static on the line. I kept calling Verizon. They kept coming out, and they'd give me funny looks, but they'd say, "Oh, it should be okay now." And finally, like the third or fourth time, the guy says, "Listen, I hate this. I didn't tell you this," but he shows me this little alligator clip. And he goes, "You know what this is?" And I go, "Yeah, that's like from the Nixon administration, like those little alligator clip bugs." He goes, "Yeah, I took this off the phone box down the street." And he goes, "You know what this means?" He goes, "They're spying at you, but they don't think you're important. They're not giving you the good stuff." I said, "What's the good stuff?" He said, "The good stuff is where they intercept you at the node level at the office. This is just like crap. They don't really care if you find out." And so at that point, I just had my landline disconnected because I couldn't hear myself. Like, I don't care if they're listening. I mean, I care. I don't want them to listen. But it's my life is very boring, and they're not going to hear anything interesting. Anyway, John, that's my story. I'm sure yours are better.
I can't top that. I can't top that. I had no idea my phones were tapped. They were tapped for 3 years from early 2009 to early 2012. No idea. But it's not a secret that NSA has this enormous new facility out in Utah, in the desert, where they're collecting and storing, more importantly, every text message, every phone call, every email, all the metadata, and they have enough storage to hold it for 500 years. I mean, they've told us they were doing it.
Yeah, and the thing is, this goes back a long time. John, you mentioned I think a day or two ago, Michael Hayden, the former head of the NSA, and wasn't he also CIA at one point too?
Yes.
So General Michael Hayden was quoted in the French magazine Le Nouvel Observateur back in the 90s. I remember, I really am sad because I didn't keep this. I gave this magazine to a friend of mine who's a security expert, Simpson Garfinkel, and he. But the thing is, in the print magazine, Hayden openly said in an interview in like the 90s that it was the goal of the NSA to intercept every communication on Earth at all times. Now, that's a long time ago. We all know the advances in technology in the last 30 years, and that's our technology. The technology and the military and the military industrial complex and the NSA, they have stuff and they have toys that we will only learn about, years and even decades from now. I mean, the military had GPS a long time before President Clinton allowed us to have it.
Yeah, they invented GPS, literally.
So, yeah, and it was a brilliant thing that Clinton let us have it. I mean, it opened up all sorts of, industrial and other applications. But the point is that it's like, they're listening. They're definitely listening. And so I can't say it makes me nervous, but I do fucking hate it. And I do think it's really un-American. And it shocks me every single time this subject comes up that nobody cares. There's never been a single major protest demonstration of any note over the issue of privacy in this country.
Never.
I mean, just think about it. Richard Nixon, he was in trouble for tapping 120 phones during Watergate. 120. All 330 million of them are tapped now, and no one cares.
No one cares.
So
yeah, inexcusable, unforgivable. And it's
fault.
Unforgivable to us, for us, that we have accepted it. I don't accept it, but what am I going to do?
Yeah, you can't do it by yourself. I mean, you can raise the alarm. That's people always say, like, well, you can organize things. Well, I mean, I'm not an organizer. It's not in my blood. And I really respect people who have that skill set. But if someone else who does have that skill set wants to organize, I'll be there to help any way I can.
As an aside, I'm not an organizer either. But we mentioned Brian Becker yesterday on the show. I worked with Brian for about 4 years on Loud and Clear on Sputnik.
Good show.
Brian is a born organizer. When Donald Trump was elected the first time and was talking about that military parade, you remember?
Oh yeah.
Brian ran to the Department of the Interior at 7 o'clock in the morning, which is when they open, and he reserved all of the streets in Washington that were appropriate for a military parade. He reserved them for an anti-military parade.
What a genius.
And that's why the first Trump military parade was canceled. Because Brian had all the permits.
See, the thing is, that's the thing. That wouldn't even occur to me. But
Nor
it's
to me.
brilliant.
This guy was brilliant, is brilliant. Yeah, and then the first Palestine demonstration, that was Brian. Brian did that. And I remember the media saying, oh, they're expecting 30,000 people in Washington. 300,000 people showed up. I texted him and I said, man, when you plan a demonstration, you really plan a demonstration. It was days before he got back to me because he was swamped with the response.
Sure. Yeah, crazy. That's crazy. His phone must have been ringing constantly.
He did very, very well.
Sherlock Holmes 100, a point from yesterday. John and Ted agree on most stuff, with John having an insider perspective. Robbie acts as a great balance to the perspective of the conversation. Props. Agreed with that. John, what do you, from Tennessee Deadhead, what do you make of the recent revelations on the JFK assassination? Apparently, James J. Angleton was running joint ops with the idea in Dallas.
Angleton is one of the darkest figures in American history, truly, for a whole bunch of reasons. This latest tranche of declassified JFK documents puts his involvement up to his neck. I don't know if he was in Dallas, physically in Dallas that day. I don't think he needed to be, but it's clear to me that everything we knew about Lee Harvey Oswald until 6 months ago was a lie. And it was a lie, excuse me, the hiccups. It was a lie because James Angleton ordered the CIA to destroy any evidence that it had a relationship with Oswald.
He's kind of like Smoking Man from X-Files.
Yeah.
Okay, so by the way, Robbie's asking for feedback from you guys. If you like the new background graphics, this is only the format, by the way, for the call-in shows. We're going to go back to the old format next week. But in the meantime, we're trying to get this right. So if you guys can chime in and say, what you like, what you don't like, and etc., that'd be great. Luke 0144 brings up one of our questions here, one of our topics. Yemen was bombed by the Saudis days after Somaliland was recognized by Israel. I believe that the geography of Somaliland being located across from the Red Sea from Yemen is not a coincidence.
Oh, I'm so glad that we have this question. The war in Yemen has gotten considerably worse over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and literally nobody is reporting about it. There is yet another group that is fighting to take over. It is a Saudi-backed group that's primarily based in southern Yemen, what used to be called the People's Democratic Republic of Yemen. It's in the area that's known in Arabic as the Hadramaut. Hadramaut is one of my favorite names of a state in the Middle East because it comes from 2 words, Khadr, which means vegetation, and Maut, which means dead. Vegetation's dead because it's so dry in this part of the Arabian desert that nothing can live there, nothing, except this handful of Bedouins that just constantly moves around looking for water. But with that said, they have been attacking Sana'a and the Houthis relentlessly with Saudi missiles and rockets over the last several weeks. And they're making serious territorial gains. Nobody's talking about this. But it looks like, if anything, the war in Yemen is going to become markedly worse in the coming weeks and months. The Houthis control only Sana'a and northwestern uh, Yemen. The internationally recognized government, which is a joke, controls much of the rest of what is northern Yemen. And now these two groups are battling it out for southern Yemen. It's a full-scale civil war, but with four different sides, not two. So the Israelis now are the only country in the world that have diplomatic relations with Somaliland. Um, Somaliland has population. It's not just desert. There are cities, there are a couple of small towns, there are lots of villages. And the Israelis apparently are going to set up shop in what's the name of the town? It's Haggadah. I think it's Haggadah. Um, to me, the quid pro quo has to be a military presence in exchange for recognition.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so the Israelis are going to use that to pound the Houthis. The Saudis are pounding the Houthis. This Saudi breakaway group in South Yemen is pounding the Houthis. This is going to get a lot worse.
More questions. We should probably do a topic, right? So maybe let's just get this
Yeah.
Venezuela thing out of the way, right? Because
Sure.
we don't need a lot. So the New York Times had a piece 2 days ago, was very poetically written, really, about this isolated peninsula, which is basically just got like a fishing village on it in Colombia. It looks beautiful. It's just a sandy, expansive sandy beach where one of these boats that the Trump administration blew up, the wreckage of it, and a couple of bodies and some packages of soggy marijuana washed up on shore. And basically talking about how the fishermen are terrified to go out and fish, obviously, not surprising, thinking that that could happen to them too, which it could. And just following that story, Trump was standing next to Bibi Netanyahu at his meeting, and he said, "Oh, we blew up, we bombed this dock where they were loading drugs." He didn't even say where the dock was. The media has to do it by inference to assume it's Venezuela. He didn't say what kind of drugs, where they were going. I mean, it's just like the vagueness is like deep. It's soaked completely to the bone. So, John, this is gonna. It just seems like the campaign against Venezuela. It's assumed its own logic. I mean, at a certain point, I don't know that the administration could, even if they thought better of it, back down, right? I mean, they've invested so much time, energy, money, and I would say very poor, but propaganda nonetheless, into this project. It's just going to keep escalating. I just wonder if we're going to see something bigger happen over, like, say, the holiday tomorrow and this weekend.
Oh, Ted, I think it's possible. When I was a junior know nothing analyst at the CIA, I said one time, well, maybe Saddam will back down here and we can all just go about our lives. And this old timer, really good guy, said, youngster, he goes, you don't send 500,000 troops and 6 carrier battle groups to then just turn around and go home. This means war. Well, we don't have 500,000 troops, but we do have a carrier battle group down there, and we are bombing them relentlessly almost every day. As
Isn't
much
it
as
something like 40 or 50,000 sailors?
that's right. It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're in the same kind of position where you don't spend that kind of money, move that number of personnel if you don't mean business. And so I fear that there will be an attack coming.
Not to mention, it's like, right, conventional wisdom, and I think it's accurate, is that it's very demoralizing for the military to stand up, a threatening position and then
Yeah,
like back down, because
just go home.
yeah, they hate that. It's like sort of like at a certain point, it's sort of like how all the Floridians stop evacuating for hurricanes after hurricane warnings. At a certain point, it's like you get all amped up, you're scared, you're excited, and
Yeah.
then it's just like if that keeps happening, that's a problem for
Yes,
morale.
yes, indeed. Exactly right.
Okay, so John, question for you, DJ 928. I've started listening to Dead Drop as of this morning and have gotten to episode 3. I love it. My only problem with it is the background music and the sound effects are
Too
a little
loud.
too loud. And thanks for
Yes,
the $3.
thank you for that. Yes, you are right. They are absolutely too loud. So we've gone to the producer to say you've got to back off on the sound effects and the background music. I just listened to episode 8 last night. That was the one that dropped yesterday, and it's kind of better. It for my taste, it's still a little bit too loud. But yeah, you're absolutely right, and we're on it. Thank you.
Question for me from Three Birds, One Stone. Well, 3 actually. Favorite cartoonist besides me, LOL. I'm definitely not my favorite cartoonist. It would be Reuben Bowling, whose real name is Ken Fisher. He does a comic strip called Tom the Dancing Bug. He's kind of a cartoonist's cartoonist. Everything is very highbrow, intellectual, funny, and he kind of reinvents the form every time he draws it. He's just an unsung genius. Favorite political cartoon I've seen this year. I'd hate to describe a cartoon in an audio form because that's like boring. So maybe I'll dig it up and show it like tomorrow or whatever. And what's my favorite personal cartoon I produced in 2025? My favorite cartoon is always the most recent cartoon that I've drawn. That's Elvis Costello said something similar about his most recent album. So I literally just drew a cartoon like yesterday it's 2 newscasters talking. One says, there's a country. This country has a president. You don't know anything about this country. You don't even know where it is. They're a threat. He's evil. We need war, else we'll die. And then like the 2 broadcasters walk off stage and talk to their producer. And one goes, these scripts aren't even trying anymore. And the other one, and the producer goes, Americans are war sluts. No need for lube. All right.
Oh, that's good. Hey, I have a question for you. You mentioned the other day that you're not a terribly big fan of Tom Tomorrow, and I was wondering if you could elucidate.
Oh, yeah, that's funny. I mean, so here's the thing. Tom, I want to be really clear. I want to give him his due. I mean, Tom Tomorrow and I have been rivals. And people confuse us all the time. Ted Rall, Tom Tomorrow, This Modern World, too many T's, right? We both traditionally usually draw in 4-panel format, very wordy. He's more verbose than I am, but and we both started out around the same time, like in the early 90s in the San Francisco Bay Area. So, and we both have run in a lot of alt weeklies. He was in more alt weeklies than in dailies. I was in more dailies than alt weeklies, but there's been a lot of confusion. So he creates a really solid product. It is reliable, and I don't mean this as a diss. It's like you know what it is. It's like going to McDonald's. It's always a solid meal. But there's never a fucking surprise. And Seinfeld said, "It's funny when it bends," and like. I strive for the bend, like that cartoon I just read to you. Like it sounds like a very serious indictment of something, and then it like goes somewhere else. That's what I look for in a cartoon. And so to me, I could skip reading Tom Tomorrow for months, years, and I don't feel like I've missed anything. That to me is a bad sign. Like I skipped reading a couple of Tom the Dancing Bugs by Reuben Bowling. I feel like, oh shit, I've missed some really good moments. I used to look forward to The Far Side every single day. Like, what does that crazy guy come up with now? That's my judge. So, and also the other thing, it's an unrequited bromance. I always wanted to be buds with him, and he just would like flirt with me, kind of like we'd hang out at cartooning conventions. You're like my brother I never had, and then like he'd just never follow up, and I don't know. So there. That's a complete honest answer. And Dan, his real name is Dan Perkins is his name. It's like if you're watching, I mean this with love, brother. Call me. Let's drink. Okay.
I'll add too. You're the only editorial cartoonist that I really know. Like, no. He used to write to me in prison, and
oh wow, good for him.
He was very, very kind.
He is a kind man.
He really is. He sent me 2 cartoons that he wrote that included me.
Wow.
And I was still flattered. I have them framed and they're in my den.
Well, I mean, he's a very accomplished and great cartoonist, and like if he were to Usually every year when the Pulitzer is announced, I always complain about whoever won. I haven't really been happy about a winner for 20 years.
Sure.
That said, if he were to win, I'd say he fucking deserves it.
Yeah.
Long overdue. Um, Bahamas, let's see. I can't even see what this is. Rockman Blake. John, can you share two things that the CIA taught you that you've applied to parenting, like a surveillance detection route on the
Wow.
way to Little League? Or I can't wait for this answer.
Wow, this is going to make me sound like a bad guy. Um, I have used to the greatest extent possible my surveillance and tracking skills. Um, Another thing too, and this is going to sound really bad, but none of us ever want to believe that our kids lie.
Mm.
But the truth is, our kids lie. And
It's a human survival skill. We would never have made it this long if we didn't learn how to lie.
listen, I was a good kid, but I lied.
Sure.
I was in the backseat of the car with Janet Panda. Oh my God. I was in the backseat of the car with this girl one time. I was a senior in high school. I had such a crush on her, Janet Pander. Have no idea whatever happened to her. And she had to be home by midnight. And we were in the backseat of the car and we weren't really paying attention to what was going on around us. And it started to snow. So she says, "Oh my God, it's snowing," at one point. "I have to get home." So we were like down like in the woods near the armory on the east side of town. And I said, "I can't get the car out. We're gonna be stuck down here." So she was like, "My father's gonna kill me if we don't get home." So I opened the driver's door and I start rocking the car. You know how they teach you in snowy
Yeah.
area. I'm rocking the car. And as it finally gains traction while I'm backing up, the door catches on a rock. And I have a second to think, stop and get stuck or go for it and just face the consequences. I hit the gas. The door just breaks off and flies through the air and lands in the snow.
No. Oh no.
So I get
Door
us on level ground. I go back down. I pick up the door. I manage to try to like fit it back on its hinge, although it won't close.
Are you have to hold it, right?
I had to
Because
hold it closed.
I've been in this position for different reasons, but you have to
This was
hold it. Yeah.
bad. This was bad.
And it's heavy.
It's very heavy. And I drive home. I drop her off. I drive home. I just go to bed. The next morning, I hear my dad
Like Ted
screaming.
Kennedy.
Yes, like Ted Kennedy. My dad is screaming outside. I jump out of bed. I run downstairs. I'm like, it wasn't like that when I drove home last night. So listen, our kids lie. I like to think that I'm able to use my CIA lie detection skills, which are good enough that I actually wrote a book about it, to see when our kids are lying. And it's not so much surveillance as it is, well, yeah, it's surveillance, sure. Um, there are tracking apps now. We didn't have tracking apps when the kids were little, or not little, but younger. Um, and so you gotta discreetly track them to make sure that they are where they say they are, you know,
Yeah,
and they have a
I had a
legitimate reason for why they're not answering your calls. Yeah, it doesn't do very much for mutual trust, but
I'm against tracking apps like Life 360 and stuff that you put on your kids' phones. I think kids need to have privacy and they need to be able to fuck up without their parents finding them. That said, my ex-wife had installed that on our son's phone, and at one point he went rogue, and she's like, he went out the window, he's gone. So we're driving. So it's like, well, she already has the app. So we're following, like, like in Aliens where you're watching the on the map. So, and the thing is, he was moving with great speed throughout the area. Like he's there, here, he's there. And I'm like driving like, I'm a fast driver and I'm like barely able to keep up with him. And at a certain point, I just turned to her and I go, look at us. look at what the fuck has happened to us. Like, what losers, how pathetic are we that we're doing this? It's like, and so anyway, ultimately we sort of decided to go back home, and I just sort of decided to handle it this way. And I loved, and so the next day I kind of like this. So I hear you were at this place, and I hear you were there. I didn't tell him that we followed him around or anything. And then he's like, how do you know all this? And I said, I'm God. He goes, no, really? And I go, no, I'm God. I am God. I know everything all the time. And I think for like about a month, he believed me, and that was it. He probably
Oh,
thought I was
man.
insane. I thought I was insane. Anyway, love. Samsonite. What do you think about the tier one operators like Delta Force and how they have similar capabilities? I assume this is for you, John, to the CIA. See Seth Harp's book, yet zero accountability to Congress like Obama's
Zero.
night raids.
It's funny. I was just talking to somebody about this same idea yesterday. There is no accountability. This is part of the problem of the post CIA. I'm sorry, of the post 9/11 CIA, where it's become a paramilitary organization,
Mm.
and so the CIA just simply borrows um, special forces
Yeah, wasn't
when
that
they
weird? I mean, like when you guys got the drones and stuff, and I remember when
right.
reading about that, it's like, wait, you guys are going to be bombing people, like from basically planes? Like that's
Yeah,
weird.
the reports the reports on this dock that was attacked by the United States yesterday say that it was a CIA drone operation.
Mm.
I remember when I was working for ABC News, uh, I was specifically working for Brian Ross on the investigative team. And I said to him one day, I said, I've been reading the Washington Post the last few days, and they're talking about drones, drones, drones. But some of these attacks don't make sense to me. They're saying that um, there was no like immediate military threat, but then if you look at the target, you can see that there could have been a sort of a secondary threat down the road. And I said, what are you getting at here? And I said, I think there are two separate drone programs. I think that the Pentagon runs one and the CIA runs another. I think that's what we're looking at here. He said,
Hmm.
nobody's heard of that yet. And I said, yeah, but I think I'm right. And
Yeah, I
it
think you're
turned
right
out,
too, from what I've read. Hmm.
yeah, it turned out that's exactly what it was. There were two separate drone programs. To this day, the CIA does not officially acknowledge the existence of a drone program.
So weird. I think
Yeah.
it's always strange whenever I mean it's like Israel not acknowledging their nuclear stockpile. It's like,
Yes,
come
indeed.
on, grow
Yeah,
up.
ridiculous. I told you my
Uh,
buddy who wrote a book about foreign policy, and the only thing the CIA's Publications Review Board made him take out were the words Israeli nuclear program. Because it's up to us to protect the secret of Israel's nuclear program.
the
Absolutely
non-secret secret,
outrageous. Yeah.
like quadruple J XYZ. Ted is a student of history, and John is too. How do you view Napoleon's impact? Was he a force for progress via his reforms, or did his wars and ambition cause more harm? His legacy is very complicated from a French perspective, right? The Napoleonic Code, just the centralizing of authority in Paris. France is a highly centralized country because of Napoleon in a way that it never would have been otherwise. That's very, I think, that's made France the way it is for better and for worse. I think he betrayed the revolution, that's, and basically enforced tyranny and despotism and monarchy on a country that had just like risen up to get rid of it. And that's really a horrible, I mean, he betrayed the French Revolution. On the other hand, the French also for national pride, they just like all the great powers like to know that they can conquer all of Europe. So the French are like, well, we did that once. We were able to do that. Well, I mean, if you can go back to Charlemagne too, but like in fairly recent years, so it kind of gives the French some swagger, and I think and also I do think ultimately the way he handled the Haiti uprising in the long run, not in the short
Yeah.
run,
Yeah.
was positive. Basically, so it's complicated is the short answer. Which is why books about him tend to be very, very long. Um, so, any thoughts about
Yeah.
Napoleon?
I was always fascinated over why in school, especially in the United States, we spent so much more time studying the French Revolution than we did the American Revolution.
Mm.
Do you have any thoughts on that? Because the reason specifically is because um, the American Revolution was successful.
The American Revolution was more, yeah, it was. Although I would argue that the French Revolution was successful after 100 years,
Yeah,
after the emergence of
I can see
of the
that.
Third Republic in 1871. That's when the French Revolution, France as we know it, became realized. Um,
Yeah,
I don't know. First of all, I didn't really have that experience. The American Revolution we studied probably more than the French Revolution. But
for
that
sure.
said, I think the French Revolution is more important than the American Revolution because the American Revolution is not a true revolution from a Marxist perspective, right? It's like the ruling class remained the ruling class. The elites became, if you were rich before, you were probably
Yeah,
rich after. If you were poor before, you were probably poor after. In the French Revolution, it's a complete overturning of the entire socioeconomic order. Everything becomes backwards, right? Like if you were the clerical class got completely subverted and overturned, all their privileges
right,
were gone. Um,
right.
and the French Revolution, I think, invented Western ideals for all of Western Europe and beyond, like for the next 250 years. I mean, the American Revolution didn't change our ideas
No,
about,
that's true.
for the world. I think France's did, which is ironic because it's
That's a good
almost like the French one feels like it inspired the American one, but it's the other way around.
way around. Yeah,
I mean,
that's
obviously there was a lot of interplay, right, with Lafayette and all that. We always, I think Americans these days are not very aware of how close we were to France for so long. And
it's the
then
oldest alliance we have.
it's very strange too because we like threw them under the bus immediately after the revolution. We immediately crawled back into bed with the Brits, which is
Yeah, we
very
did.
odd to me.
Yes, we
Um,
did.
Scatos 365, many expats in Taipei think that if China imposes a blockade and then attacks, Japan and the Philippines would be the first to assist if the US countered. South Korea, Malaysia, Indonesia will not. That's a lot of ifs.
Yeah, I see. I just don't see the Chinese as an international hegemon. I just, it doesn't make sense to me. Maybe I'm completely wrong. I absolutely could be completely wrong, but I just don't really see it.
I think the conventional wisdom is correct. The Chinese want money and they want influence. And a war will get in the way of that. I mean,
Agreed.
they have the long game. They can rent Taiwan. They already do have so much influence there economically and
Yeah,
politically.
they do.
It's crazy, right? Um,
True.
so, basically the US, and this brings up this was one of our topics, right? So the US assumption is that I don't know why. Do you know why? I don't know this, John. Apparently the US military planning assumes that China's intention is to invade Taiwan as soon as 2027, the year after the next. And that these drills are all about that. I find that, why do they assume that? And
Yeah, yeah,
why
that's
2027?
they've got these off the shelf um uh strategies, right? So you always have to have a plan for what to do when China invades Taiwan or when Russia invades Poland or whatever. You have these, they call them off the shelf
Hmm.
strategy. Well, they've had them since, the late 40s, and you
Hmm.
have to constantly update them because of changing, the world is changing, or because of changing technologies or whatever. But I think we've been saying essentially the same thing for more than a half a century,
Like it
when in
could.
fact nothing substantive has changed.
No, nothing really. I think it seems like it's mostly in our minds.
Yeah.
Although obviously President Xi is a real nationalist. Um, let's do an ad. If you've been paying attention to the direction that this country is headed, you already know our financial system is being intentionally sabotaged. Inflation is not a mistake. It's draining your savings while the political elites consolidate power. Every time Washington prints another mountain of cash, your dollar becomes weaker and your future becomes more vulnerable. This is exactly why you need to go to mygoldguy.com/rumble and get in touch with my gold guy. He isn't like the big name gold companies that bait people with free gold or silver coins while quietly inflating their prices. That is deception disguised as generosity. My gold guy refuses to play that games. He is a no-frills, America First precious metals dealer whose mission is simple: give you the best possible price so you can protect your wealth without the gimmicks and without the smoke and mirrors. Go to mygoldguy.com/rumble, fill out the short form, and request your complimentary consultation. He'll give you real information about the economy, the instability ahead, and how silver, gold, and how physical gold and silver can anchor the. This is like a can anchor your future when everything else starts shaking. And when you sign up, you'll get his free gold and silver guide, which every American who cares about financial security needs to read right now. Do not wait. Do not assume things will just work themselves out. Protect yourself. Protect what is yours. Visit mygoldguy.com/rumble today. Get your consultation. Get the guide. This is the time to act. Okay, that was a long-winded delivery and it delivered incompetently. My apologies. Okay, so question from Dirty Pest 44. Oh, we should bring in Robbie to talk about how we're going to do this. Robbie, please come on and explain the call-in section of the show, which is coming up in 17 minutes.
Yeah, so the call-in section is going to be pretty easy. I'm going to drop the Discord link in the chats again, and I will pin them. And so basically what you will do, you'll click on the Discord server. You will see a place that says, I'll give you the exact name here so you can see it. It is called the call-in waiting room. You'll park there. I will keep track of who comes in. First come, first served. And then what I will do is I will drag you over. You'll be able to ask John and Ted your pithy questions. And please be sure that you unmute your microphone, but mute your tab if you're watching the stream. That way there's no feedback. And just be polite, be nice. If you are rude, I will ban you so fast your brains will be slapped out of your ear. So you have been warned.
I like it. Thank you, Robbie. Okay, so we are going to start taking your calls in 16 minutes at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern time. John, let's talk about these Iran protests. Of course, there's a political propaganda aspect to the way that these are reported here in the States. Whenever there's any kind of domestic dissent in Iran, it's always interpreted as the government is about to be overthrown. The Iranians hate their regime. Blah, 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 blah. Yay, yay, yay. And so, look, it's not the first time there have been protests in Iran. It's not the last. They have very high inflation. The rial is under stress. And even though Iran is a major modern oil-producing country, they're also under stress by these long-standing American and Western sanctions that make it hard for them to get supplies and new equipment and all sorts of stuff. But having been to Iran a couple of times, I can say, it's hardly like they're at death's door, much the way that like Russia was portrayed since the sanctions were imposed after the invasion of Ukraine. What do you make of this? Like, how serious is this? How big a story is it? Where do we go from here?
I don't think it's a big deal. So Al Jazeera has probably the best reporting on these demonstrations outside of Iran. And they included pictures that were picked up by the Associated Press and other, mainstream outlets. We're talking about what looked to me to be 10,000 people or less in a country of, 90 something million, 92 million. The demonstrations, and they weren't riots, they were peaceful demonstrations. They were confined to two areas, the bazaar in central Tehran and a neighborhood called Jumhuri, where it's like the souk for cell phones, right? The cell phone market neighborhood where all the cell phone stores are located. It's a very Middle Eastern thing to make souks like that. President Pezeshkian endorsed the demonstrations in a statement, saying that people have the right to demonstrate and they should be demonstrating because inflation's too high. And these demonstrations are about inflation. Al Jazeera points out that inflation is currently 50%. It's projected to go up to 62% in 2026. And people are tired of their money buying less and less and less. So I don't see this as any kind of threat to the regime or anything. You and I have both participated in demonstrations here in the United States that were far, far larger, even on a per capita basis, than what we're seeing in Iran.
Yeah. All right. Dirty pest question. At what point does a state's pursuit of quote unquote stability become more dangerous than the stability it claims to be preventing? And how do we know that that line is crossed? Maybe examples. I feel like I'm back in college.
It's a good, deep question. And I think it is when we get to the point where we are voluntarily giving up our civil liberties, we've crossed that line. And we did that on September the 12th, 2001.
I can't add anything to that. You're right. Favorite cartoon dog? Mine is, of course, Snoopy, then Scooby, then Astro. I got to go Snoopy. I mean, I'm a huge Peanuts fan.
Yeah.
I literally have all of the books of the entire 50-year run of Peanuts. How dorky am I?
Wow. Well done.
So if you run a psyop on your kids, as described earlier, I have. How about you?
Yeah, I have.
I think most parents have, though.
Yeah, the court prohibits me from getting into details because of someone to whom I used to be close.
Right. One Kyle wants to know, the media barely covers the country of Chad, but do you guys have any thoughts on the rumors that they're changing loyalty from the U.S. to Russia?
The only reason why I'm thinking that might not be true is that the Wagner Group have been so brutal in the way they've handled their time there.
Mm-hmm.
But, that brutality aside, I wouldn't be surprised if the Chadians decided that they're getting nothing but blood and guts and gore from the United States. Might as well look elsewhere.
Yeah. Sherlock Holmes. I have not. No,
nor have I. Yeah,
they speak French, so it'd be easy. Sherlock Holmes. I'm glad you brought this question up, Sherlock, about the alleged drone attack on Putin's residence by Ukraine. Real or disinformation? The Ukrainians are vehemently denying it. I love, by the way, NPR's coverage. It's gotten to be a game for me whenever every day NPR covers the Russia-Ukraine conflict. And I want to see, will they once bring on a Russian or pro-Russian official or spokesperson ever to talk about this issue? Never. Right. Never. Which is like, you guys are journalists? Really? Never. Exactly. But anyway, the point is, they talked about the Russian claim by Lavrov, and they said we want to warn our viewers that Western analysts, that Western government officials do not trust Lavrov. That was their journalistic warning. I swear to God, you could listen to it this morning. I'm like, what the fuck? Anyway, I have no idea.
I've said in the past that I was stationed at the United Nations when Lavrov was the Russian ambassador to the United Nations. And my specific assignment was to the UN Security Council. So I spent many, many, many hours in a room with Lavrov. He was easily the most highly respected diplomat at the United Nations at the time.
Mm.
He strongly, stridently, of course, supported and defended his country, as you would expect him to do. He was the ambassador. But in terms of just being a really great diplomat, that was Lavrov. Well, I remember when I heard he had been named foreign minister, my response was, of course he has. Who else could they possibly name foreign minister? He's fantastic. But now that he's on the other side, everybody's like, oh, you can't trust Lavrov. He just supports Russia. Well, yeah, that's the idea.
Truth is the first casualty of war, right? So I don't know what happened here. Look, all I can say is, has Russia lied during this war? Sure. Has Ukraine lied during this war? Yeah, they claimed their democracy. I mean, there's been lies all around, for sure. So who fucking knows is my answer there. Just don't trust anyone. Darkworks88. Ted, what resources do you recommend to people who want to learn investigative journalism or want to learn how to view the world through a journalist's eyes?
That's a good question.
And they kind of are two different questions. First of all, I would say, part one, there's no investigative journalism really of any note happening that's financed by major news organizations anymore, sadly and tragically. So if you want to work doing that, you probably won't find any work doing that. If you want to investigate things for yourselves, nothing substitutes, like that kid in Minnesota who, the right winger, the MAGA kid who's just like, hey, let me just find out where these alleged daycare facilities are and let me go and just see what they look like. And then, you roll up your sleeves and, like Jimmy Breslin once told me in the back of my taxi, like, get off your ass, get out of the newsroom, go out to the street and talk to people. It's a good mentality to have in general, even if you don't care about journalism. How to view the world through a journalist's eyes? Just basically don't take anything at face value. Especially if the source is someone that you like and trust and are loyal to, like it's like American government official and you're an American citizen and you want to believe your government. Don't disbelieve them just for the sake of disbelieving them. But if your mother says she loves you, check it out. I mean, it's about thinking critically. It's a way of thinking, and read as many sources as you possibly can, because the truth is somewhere always like in between.
Absolutely true. Yes. Absolutely. Look at people like Max Blumenthal, for example, or Aaron Maté. They essentially work for themselves.
Yeah.
And they are some of the best journalists working in America today. So it's all about doggedness, I think.
Yeah, it's like, who made the template for this, and we've all forgotten, is I.F. Stone.
Absolutely true. Yes.
He worked for himself at a time where he could have gone to work for any number of major media organizations, but he was like, he sussed out back in the 60s and 70s that working for yourself gave you the independence to not be put off the trail. And I.F. Stone is a god, and it's too bad that he's forgotten now. All right, let's see. Before we take some more questions, because the questions today are just, as usual, fantastic. So it's hard not to talk about this. John, I wanted to ask you about Medicaid. So Medicaid obviously treats both U.S. citizens and non-citizens and some people who are undocumented. ICE has asked Medicaid to provide patient data. They claim not stuff about what diseases you have, although who knows whether that's true or not, but basic stuff like names and numbers and address and stuff like that, metadata, I guess we would call it, sort of. With ICE, a federal judge says that this is okay. I find it chilling, and I also think it's dangerous. We just came out of a pandemic, right? I mean, if we had during COVID, I wanted undocumented illegal immigrants to be treated for COVID. I didn't want them out spreading it to the rest of us. It's the same reason as like why I want illegal aliens to have driver's licenses. Because if one of them hits me, I want them to be insured. Am I missing something here?
No, no, I think you've hit it on the head. Yeah, we sometimes get ahead of ourselves and we try to look at everything in terms of being black or white, and oftentimes it's not black or white. It's gray, and it has to be treated as gray. That would be one of those times.
Totally. All right, some more questions to get to. And just a reminder, we are going to be taking your calls in just a few minutes. Ogaga, do we think that Trump loves and cares so much about Nigeria? I'm asking because of the bombing in Sokoto, northeastern Nigeria. I thought it was northwestern. Anyway, how come he placed Nigeria on a ban?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, the travel ban.
right. Um, yeah. First of all, I think he did it because he wants to be seen as the savior of Christians.
Hmm.
I really believe,
It's the Crusader thing.
yeah, it is. Um, I was pleasantly surprised that he talked to the Nigerian leadership first. I didn't think he would have, but he did. So that was a good thing. On the other hand, the ban, we should have taken him seriously when he talked about shithole countries in the first term. People were outraged that he used the term shithole countries. He meant it. He
Yeah.
meant it. And he just decided he didn't want any of those people or any more of those people in the United States. And then he, you know, implemented his policy. So I don't think that he did this for any love of Nigeria or Nigerians. I think he did it because he wants to be seen as the savior of Christians, and he doesn't want Nigerians in the country.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks for the $20, Mount MT16, from Mike in
Thank you.
Nottingham. Do
Oh,
you?
thank you, Mike. I know Mike. Mike's a buddy of mine. Thank you, Mike.
Okay. Do we think Kamala will make a political comeback in the future, or is her goose cooked? I say it's cooked like a foie gras, like a canal à l'orange to a crispy golden orange. What do you think?
I think that somebody needs to grab her by the shoulders and give her a shake and say, "Stop. Nobody likes you. Take that teaching job at UCLA and don't talk to the media ever again."
Never look back.
Tough love, Ted. Somebody has to show tough love
Yeah, I mean,
because
here,
no,
let me put it in sharp relief, right? If I can't imagine, let's say, a president AOC, not that I think that that will happen, but I
no,
can't even imagine like a future Democratic president even wanting her on their cabinet. What
no,
could she even do? I don't even
no.
trust her as AG. What'd she
She's a
do?
professional politician. She brings nothing to the table that's going to help anybody.
Yeah.
No,
And for that reason alone, no, I mean, look, the thing is, political parties are very, especially Democrats, are very unforgiving of people who snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, the way that she did in the most recent cycle. I mean, she should have won that. Really,
and
she
then
should have
and then
won.
she blames everybody but herself in her self-serving book.
Yeah. Well, she didn't campaign.
No,
I mean, she didn't, I mean, and she basically told that she snubbed the progressives. I mean, and Gaza alone is why she lost, right?
yeah, agreed.
Like, what a fucking idiot. Um, no, and no, basically, she was stupid and cynical at the same time. It's hard to pull off
Mhm.
both. Jones Jameson, thanks for the $5. I love this question, John, and I think it seems like it's a good place to segue into our questions. I'll do a quick read of the other ones while you answer it, though. Do U.S. intelligence agencies do anything to protect citizens? Seems like all the FBI does is entrap teenage children by giving them bombs.
Boy, that's practically right out of my own mouth. Um, I hate to say this because it's going to make it sound like my entire career was a waste of time. But no, I don't think, for the most part, no, they don't do anything to protect Americans. They will disrupt the occasional attack if they get lucky. But your analysis is completely correct. that they spend much more of their time just setting up idiots and charging them with terrorism or conspiracy to use a weapon of mass destruction. So no, I'm going to write a book eventually. I've got the outline for it, but I'm going to write a book eventually on the failures of the CIA and why we don't need a CIA anymore, or
There's
maybe
a lot
never.
of these security apparati that we don't really need, right? I mean, like the TSA, I don't think we need them. Certainly not in their present
No
form.
way. No way.
I will
Nope.
say that the FBI did help me in a situation where I was being threatened. So I will say
Good.
that. But
I had a stalker. I've said this before, and the FBI wouldn't lift a finger. And the only reason that anybody did is because she ended up flying to Washington, Lincoln, Nebraska, with a gun to kill my wife, my ex-wife now, and then told me she was doing it, and then showed up at my office.
oh
That
Jesus
was the only
Christ!
reason I went to the cops for 6 months. I went to the Arlington County Police, the Lincoln, Nebraska Police, the University of Nebraska Police, because she was on the campus of the University of Nebraska, the Capitol Police, the FBI, all 5 of them, nothing. And then finally, MPD, the Metropolitan Police Department, went to the hotel and arrested her only because she had come in with a gun. They don't give a shit about anybody.
I will say also, this is a systemic issue, right? Like, I wish I'd made this up, but I read it somewhere. But I love this line where it's like the system is set up to deal with psychopaths, but not sociopaths. And
Oh,
when
that's a good point.
and when someone's coming for you, like it's so bad when like it's like sorry, wrong number. When you're being stalked and threatened, until you have to wait till you're dead before they're gonna pay attention.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah,
it's the
that's
way
right.
it is. It's seriously fucked up. I would say broken. I don't like when people say the system is broken because I think that implies that it was supposed to work right and then it ceased to work right. If the system's designed not to do something, it's not broken. It's just fucked up.